And I'll tell you, there is nothing like getting arrested for the night after being naked on your front porch to help you realize something is majorly wrong in how I'm doing relationships and something really, really needs to change. Today's video is my story. This is the story of how I became interested in relationships, how I decided that part of my life's work, part of what I'm going to give back to the world is studying relationships, understanding them, and dissecting the pieces that make them work and not work. I think that relationships are life. Life is relationships. And if you get good at relationships, and if you really get good at intimate relationships, because that's probably the most intense relationship experience any of us will have, probably all your relationships are going to get better, and probably by extension, your life is going to be a whole lot better. And my story really begins when I was young, and I'm the second oldest of 10 kids. I know I've talked about this in other videos, but I lived in a very, very conservative Christian household. My sisters wore skirts. There was a time when they weren't sure if they were going to go to college because college is this secular thing. I didn't go to the movies till I was like 13 or 14. Didn't listen to any secular music until I was rebelling, listening to country music in high school. So it was really a place of a lot of rules. They were given with love. They were given with a desire to help us do the right thing in life, right? And to not make mistakes that my parents felt like they had made and that had hurt them as they had gone on in life. But it really left me feeling limited, feeling stuck, feeling like I wanted to rebel because I wasn't jiving with the narrative I was given. And of course, one of those large narratives was the narrative around sex and relationships. I was raised to believe that heterosexual monogamous relationships are the only path to relational success and the only path to having God love and bless your relationship. You know, I really didn't date in high school. I really started at the very tail end of high school. I moved out of my house when I was like 18. So any sexual content in movies was like super taboo. We don't do it. We don't talk about the thing. We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about positions. We don't get into any of it. And again, the way you are supposed to date, Christopher, the way you're supposed to couple and have an intimate relationship is all sexual intimacy is saved until after you're married. I've been to multiple weddings where the first kiss of the couple, it really was their first kiss. I remember my first kiss. I was actually pretty old. I was 18 and I had my first kiss and I slept with the same girl. We both lost our virginity to each other on, I guess, about a year. But so I was wanting to do relationships. I was excited about it. I was excited about experiencing sex and sexual connectivity and relationships and intimacy. And I'm also just been a very sensual person. Like I love connection. I love beauty. I love learning about humans. Humans fascinate me to no end, and why we do what we do, and our drivers, and the how, and the why, and the what. I just find it infinitely fascinating. And I think one of the most fascinating parts of human connection is intimate relationships, because that's really where everything funnels back to. I mean, why do we want to be rich and powerful? Why do we want to be beautiful, attractive? Why do we want to wear the clothes we do? Why do we want to have the ego image that we do? Other than we're trying to attract high value mates and high value people to couple with. And so as I went along and began to have a couple relationships, the first relationship I had was very idyllic, very, very cute. And we probably could have gotten married, and I just wasn't feeling that. I was wanting more adventure. I was wanting more novelty. And I've talked about the safety, security, adventure, novelty bracket. In life and in relationships, I've always been more on the adventure, novelty side of things. I was modeling at the time, doing acting, and I met a girl at a photo shoot or something like that. And we hooked up at a party in the next, I don't know, a couple weeks later. And then I learned that she was engaged and living with her fiance. And I was given the narrative that, oh, we're just, the relationship's not going to happen, or the marriage is not going to happen. We're just kind of finishing up this lease and we've kind of grown apart. And I was complicit in that story for about a year. And of course, as you probably already guessed, the whole thing fell apart. She did marry the guy. She ended up then reaching out to me very soon after the marriage. It was just a whole mess. And it was my first experience of of someone really not doing what they said they would do, of not appearing the way they presented themselves to me, was not an accurate reflection of who things were. As my first period of getting jaded, right? Of not trusting, of I went into that, with my whole heart and just like, here's the heart on the platter. I want to love you. I want you to love me. Ended up with something very different than that. So as I would go along and meet people, I would realize that I developed a pattern and a cycle in relationships that I thought was damaging. And it went something like meet someone, go out on a few dates, get sexual with them, enjoy our intimate relationship. But sometime in the 3 to 4 to 6 month time frame, I would begin to get a little bored. And I didn't know how to practice open, honest communication. I know that's something I've talked a lot about here, but I didn't know how to have conversations or really pursue depth with a partner because I just had never seen that modeled. I didn't know, how do I bring up things I need? How do I bring up things I want? How do I talk about what you're looking for in a relationship? And so at some point I'd be interested in someone and I'd call a break in the relationship. Not a break to actually like do some soul searching and like work through what's working and what's not working. It was just a break because I wanted to feel good about going out with and potentially hooking up with someone else. And so that would happen. And of course, if you're someone who's done this, there's probably, you immediately have some pangs of regret and guilt and you think back, man, about all the great things of the person you're currently with. And you probably go back and want to pursue that relationship more and kind of see, is there something still here, right? And so I'd kind of repeat this cycle. I get in the relationship, 3 to 6 months in, start to get bored, 4 to 7 months in, call a break, get back together, and do that a couple of times over the course of the next 3 or 4 months. And somewhere between 12 to 18 months, I would normally end the relationship because I was unhappy with it. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And kind of my low point was I was on one of these breaks. I brought a girl home to my house, and my soon-to-be ex / on a break with ended up coming over to my house and letting herself in with my hidden key and found me in bed with a girl. And World War III erupted at 2 or 3 a.m. at my house. And I live in an old neighborhood with old historic homes. They're close together. The cops ended up getting called. She's out talking to them, and I'm still super drunk. I walk out on my porch. I'm naked. And I go back inside. Cops tell me to go back inside and put my clothes on. And me, instead of just ending the night there, I decided to go back out. I'm on my front porch and I'm on my property. And anyway, I ended up getting arrested, right? And I spent not 24, but I spent 15, 18 hours in jail or whatever. And the charges got dropped. We moved on. It wasn't a big deal, but man, like I realized I am doing something really, really, really wrong. And I really do want connection, right? I feel bad about behaving in this way. I know this is less than my best. I know that I'm not building long-term, connected, intimate relationships with someone. I'm going to be doing this like, I'm kind of starting and stopping and start and then stop. And I'm not being honest. I'm not allowing my partner to be honest. I'm not facing things in an appropriate way, in a way that's conducive to growth. And it's just a really big problem. And I realized I can't keep doing this. And if something doesn't change, like I am signing myself up for a life of this pattern. And I see people that have a life of this pattern. And I didn't want it. And I knew that I was capable of more. I knew that I was capable of loving deeper, of loving in a more intimate, open, honest way. And so that led to a lot of reading, a lot of study, a lot of podcasts, and me concluding, maybe I want to try something that's ethically non-monogamous, right? If I want some of this adventure novelty, but I still want to be able to enjoy having a partner, and a partner is still excited about coupling with me, maybe something ethically non-monogamous, either polyamorous or having some sort of an open relationship, maybe that would work. As the stars aligned, I had a friend who was recently single. We'd known each other for a number of years, and she was also interested in just trying this experiment, right? We really kind of went into it as viewing this as just an experiment. Let's just see how this works. And wow, that was quite the experiment. And the part of it that I find so beneficial is like I was studying it, I was working on it, I was making efforts to respond better than my knee-jerk emotional response when I wanted to get angry, when I was feeling jealous, when I was feeling low. I wanted to respond better than that. I want to question myself. I want to call myself on my own BS and play devil's advocate to my views. And it was extremely growth experience. I grew a ton, I learned a ton, and I got better. So me first saying, hey, I'm going to study this, not ethical non-monogamy, but just saying I'm going to study relationships, and I'm going to see and figure out like what's work, who's doing things that are working, where am I getting my patterns for a successful relationship, and then moving on to ethical non-monogamy, like what are the patterns, what am I going to take from this experience, led to a lot of growth. And then with my current partner. We have an open relationship, but there's, again, been so much continued growth of understanding what they need, of understanding what I need, and working to really create a relationship structure that's tailor-made, custom-built for me and my partner, and that works for both of us, and that sets ourselves up for long-term growth, success, and happiness. And it continues to be a growth journey. It continues to be an experience. It continues to be something that you work at. I think one of the biggest misconceptions, or not even misconceptions, just things that people don't want to think about in a relationship, is that it's a continual process. You don't do this once and then it works. You don't get married and then you're happily ever after. The movies always leave us at the wedding and everyone's happy, but they forget to tell the story of what happens after, which is when all the juice is. But it is something that I've gotten so much better at. I've practiced flexing the relationship muscle enough to be able to respond much better than I used to being able to be honest, to being able to lean into hard conversations, to be willing to die to my ego and my desires and my immediate needs, and to say, hey, how do we make this something that works for both of us? How do we do this in a loving way? How do I die to myself? How do I sacrifice for you? And how that process of trying to see your partner grow really can be massively self-ministering to you, right? You will get so much love and gratification and feelings of happiness and connectivity by trying to love someone in an others-centered way. And in all that, I launched the company, I launched this YouTube channel, and it's been a really incredible journey. That's kind of it. That's the story. Would love to dialogue with anybody about any part of this. Leave a comment, shoot me a message. Check out the website, a ton more content on there. Definitely join the Facebook group, because we talk a lot of stuff that may not be appropriate for YouTube. Goes in the Facebook group, so make sure you're on there. And hope this was encouraging, and keep following the journey. Can't wait to see you in the next video.